Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Poetry and Organ Advent series. We are so happy that you're here. We're so happy that you're joining us online as well. Again, I'm going to remind you what we do here. We take this next 45 minutes to an hour and we shut out everything in the outside world. We focus on the now. We focus on the spoken word and music as we prepare for Christmas. It's my pleasure to welcome Sean Sexton up to the podium to introduce our poet. Sean?
Thank you so much for coming today. We're always delighted to see you and to have you here, and it's a treat to share this with you. And I think, guess what? I think maybe even as I spy in the distance, my wife has even come, and here she comes right now. That's the miracle of the day. And so, while I have your attention, I have a stack of them up there. If you do not have this catalog, you are terribly remiss. You should come up and get one. They're right there on the seat. And they have all of the events. Even the Poetry and Organ series is mentioned in this catalog. We went to great trouble to create it. And we want you, we did this all for you. We want you to make sure you don't leave without one. I also promised you I would bring flyers, I shamelessly announced, for my new book. And they're I did bring them today. I forgot them last week. But the books, just right now, they got the Library of Congress numbers last night, and they're making the book as we speak. So it's going to be here soon. They're sort of advanced information about it. And now I'm going to introduce Marianne Peel, who is really from the world. I could say Cocoa Beach, but that's trivializing all the places that she's from and all the places she's been. And she's a poet, musician, and retired English teacher. She received a Fulbright Program Award to further her research in Nepal and Turkey. And to support her work as a teacher, she's served as an educator in China's, how do you say it? Guizhou? Guizhou. I'll let you say it when you get up here. Province, and as a volunteer at Kara Tepe refugee camp in Lesvos, Greece. So you see what I mean. She's from many places. Her poetry has appeared in numerous print and online journals. No Distance Between Us is her debut book. And I met her last spring at the spring program, I think it was called the Spring Fling of the Florida State Poets Association meeting, and really a gathering at the San Pedro Institute in Winter Park. And I heard her read, and the moment I heard her, I thought, she's got to come here and do this. So Marianne, please come up.
Well, good morning. Good to be here with you today. First poem is called The Offering. I want to offer you a bouquet of notes, major and minor blooms on stem and staff, a garland of sonatas singing out of veins of leaves, a wreath of fugues wrapped inside each stem, a corsage of a cadenza, a morning glory of a cadence. I ask that you seek out the melodies from the spaces between the petals, from the spaces between leaves, from the spaces within the stems. And I will wait here, holding my bouquet of notes, at the essence of myself, at my chest that beats in 3/4 time. Waltz with me, all swishy skirts and tuxedo coattails, careening between the rows of snapdragons, of gladiolas, of chrysanthemums. Listen, and you will hear melodies tumbling out of open-throated blossoms. I will wait for you to weave harmonies that layer the sky with bloom, with blossoms, with an everlasting azure. Listen as we make music out of a garden of sweet, succulent silence. Saturday night at the symphony. She used to sit on the fire escape Saturday nights, waiting for the symphony to begin. Couldn't afford a real ticket, not even to a Sunday matinee. Cheap seats, standing room only, nosebleed section. She didn't mind that the rust on the fire escape, the way it left a waffle pattern on her backside, on the soft underneath of her thighs. I marked my calendar, deliberately walked her alley every Saturday night, watched her close her eyes as the overture began, the way she leaned her head on the railing, wished I'd brought her a pillow or a cup of hot cocoa or a plaid shawl to wrap around her shoulders. I watched her conduct, first with one hand, then both. She cued in the trombones, extended her right hand to the tipping point of the slide. When the cello section played, she put both hands at her throat as if she couldn't breathe. Allowed an exhale only when the strings finished on a Picardy third. She swayed forward and back as the bassoon played, executed a slow chromatic scale. eighth note by eighth note, until it landed at the valley of its range. When the piccolo played, she jumped from step to step, matched her feet to the first of a quartet of 16th notes. She arabesqued her way up the fire escape, took flight among the stars, pulsing to the rhythm of her improvisation. Transformation. I stand on the edge where the foam gathers around my feet. The blue heron stands on a bed of broken shells. She is still as the morning. No wind today to push her feathers north. She combs her frayed chest. We look out at the waves together. I want eyes on the side of my head. Imagine myself moving sideways only, seeing the whole world sideways. I have wings instead of arms. Navigate the shoreline with slow, deep wing beats. Blue-gray, I wade belly deep through this winter sky, my hollow bones whistling. This next piece is called Waiting in Line at the Piggly Wiggly. Everything moves slowly here in Madisonville, Kentucky. The grocery line is a litany of, "And how's your mama doing?" All of us wait. Over beard. Overwhelmed anymore. How her mucking boots press and pinch. How she's off balance in her movement from bed to toilet. How she refuses the crutch of a cane. How he dresses his mama's wound every night, wrapping gauze around the stump with just the proper tension, holding her foot in his hand. The clerk hands him his pack of Marlboros, his cellophane-wrapped chicken livers, his Tiger Balm Red extra-strength ointment, his bottle of Heaven Hill bourbon. The old man tells the clerk he's going to walk old nag Stella up the patch to Mama's parlor. He has saved an extra sweet ambrosia apple for his mama to feed Stella. Mostly, he wants to give his mama the possibility of sweet dreams. As he tucks his grocery sack under his arm, he tells the cashier, gets things in perspective. The next piece is All Things Both Great and Small. This is dedicated to the brave people of Ukraine, who I'm sure people there are on your heart. Blessed be Krylo, the zookeeper, who comforts Horus, the 17-year-old elephant, during the Russian shelling of Kyiv, sleeping next to him every night, stroking his gray cheek, slipping him stolen apples from his jacket pocket. Blessed be May the lemur, so terrified by the bombings that she abandons her newborn baby. Blessed be the worker who feeds the newborn lemur formula through a syringe, who wraps this baby in fuzzy, soft cloth to mimic his mother's warmth. Blessed be Valentina Dikonova, who arrives with dates, bananas, and a Coca-Cola bottle filled with tea for Tony, the 47-year-old gorilla. Blessed be the ostrich feathers flattened to the asphalt. Blessed be all the animals used as target practice by Russian soldiers. Vodka. Blessed be the zookeepers amid the relentless who are compelled their pigeons, and this is dedicated to my flock of feral like to watch the parent birds do their courtship dance, wedding in front of the female, a ritual dance of trying to impress, emitting soft, cooing notes to serenade his mate for life. My father believed in their affection for one another. He would pick huckleberries off the mountainside, urging fruit one by one into hungry beaks. He'd steal worms from Uncle Joe's coffee can, the one he kept next to the tackle box, and then coax the pigeons to devour them bit by bit. My father knew a platoon of pigeons carried messages across enemy lines at Normandy, delivering secrets to Allied forces. In ceremony at Buckingham Palace, these birds received medals. Eternal gratitude for patriotism, my father paid respect to his pigeons, solemnly saluting his flock every night before he descended the rooftop aviary. One night, his own daddy hankered for some pigeon pie, knowing the breast muscles make for good eating meat. My Nana used to serve pigeon pie at Thanksgiving when they couldn't afford a turkey. She'd cook the bird up with lard and onions and chicken livers, mushrooms if they could be found, then stuff it all in a Crisco pastry. She'd poke holes in the crust, letting it breathe while baking. But my father wouldn't hear of it. He'd named those pigeons, every one. They'd answered when he summoned them by name. So that night, he ascended to the roof. Pigeons free. Sunshine claimed they could hear over church bells. The next poem is dedicated to my daughter, Annalise, who happens to be autistic. She's currently 25 years old. And as I move around in the world, I needed to learn to live away from her as she got to be an adult. So learning to live 8.5 hours from my Annalise. The last time we talked, she said she wanted every bone in her body to break. I picture her on a ledge, flirting with the idea of flying, knowing she admires the fleet. They are long. On a blur of color lands on tag. The one she opinion. I Minna. In my hands, flesh of my flesh, this daughter who speaks in the language of butterflies. Sean mentioned that I had volunteered at Karatepe refugee camp in Lesvos, Greece. I ended up working at kind of a clothing store and managing the clothing store. So as people came off the water from wherever they were escaping, I would help families get clothing. They only had what was on their backs. So this is called a gift camp. Scrabbled over my feet, exited at the back of the tent, between refugees seeking. She cinched her babies at the scruff of carried them out to the fields behind the shop, one by one. By noon, a nest of kittens in the long grasses. There, the song of mourning doves lullabied her babies to sleep. That morning, I had no shoes to offer, only flip-flops for a man from Syria, 3 sizes too big, clownish shoes, good for a laugh, for a choreographed stunt. I had no more than the other. I had no socks for the baby. Even I could not stop from crying. That morning, Gino, the Kurdish translator, arrived with her mother. She wanted to show me this matriarch who had clutched the side as they. And later that morning, this woman would lie on a gurney as a surgeon carved a tumor from her brain. On that morning, Gino asked why mascara stained my cheeks, why my eyes were red and swollen. I told her about the many bare feet I had held in the palms of my hands, the many souls I could not protect with shoes I did not have. Hand on the small of my back, guided me to the back room, pointed to a loose knit gray sweater on the floor beneath the men's Arabic robes. "This is my crying place," she said. "This is where I come to cry when I cannot stop my crying." That next morning, I found the kittens. Eyes open just a little. The light. And for the closing poem for today, I'll read a poem called If You Have Forgotten Joy. If you have forgotten joy, walk on over to the neighborhood park in August, just after the sun travels out of the sky, and stand nearby the trio of rows of Sharons on the east end, down past the wooden swing. There, you will find a gathering of fireflies playing their part in the evening symphony, mostly tacit, counting measures of incredible rests until they burst out of the score, resounding just for a moment over all the other instruments, like the timpani in Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. If your movements are andante and your breath very pianissimo, and if you make your hands into the mute house of a piccolo trumpet, this firefly may dance into your hands. Hold the firefly just for a moment, fighting all temptation to imprison her in that mayonnaise jar with the rusty holes in the lid. Release her back into the humid air, sending her back to the nighttime orchestra, knowing you have set free the music and the light.
Thank you so much. That was just superb. Truly, truly. So, just to get you ready for, we have I think he's going to row.
Do row
We can have part of us over here and part of us. Can you lead that? No. Nope. Okay. I can't either. Marianne, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We truly had a flavor of your travels in addition to the travel through your heart. So we hope to see you. And I promise you, we'll have a great. Make sure you get one of those catalogs.